3, 2, 1.
Action.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that was a good
Cheers.
one. Cheers.
Mhm.
I've got coffee.
Yeah, this is delightful. It's been a day. We're going beer already. Welcome in. No punts allowed. And we're pivoting as we do in this podcast. We're getting right immediately into a ranking.
Yeah, we decided the news can wait, that this was more important because
I'm anxious because I'm nervous.
yeah, I know
about
you
this.
are. So one thing that I will say that I find very endearing about you is that you just like decide that we're gonna do something, and then on the podcast like, we're gonna do it next week, and then you forget about it, and I'm like, hey, by the way, you said last week that we have to do this. And that's just like the epitome of our relationship. So if anyone wanted like a behind the curtain of what actually happens, that's usually how it happens.
So my uniform rankings, CFB uniform rankings, have come together literally in the last, 3.5 minutes, and I'm kind of nervous about them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we also did different exercises. Like you went like, if this was a group project, you went the extra mile. Like you get the star for the group. Me,
Which also like explains my personality so well.
yeah, it also explains mine, by the way. I'm like, I'm here.
Wait, time out. Were you the kid in school who like did the bare minimum on a group project and like let the type A person do the most?
I would know my role, okay? I would know my role, but I'd like to be involved. I was normally like a presenter.
You were?
Like I'd be like, people wouldn't want to. I'd be like, I got it. You guys.
So basically, you not only didn't do the work, but you took full credit by presenting it perfectly to the group.
I never thought of it that way. I was the mouthpiece because nobody liked to talk, and as this podcast proves, I don't shut the fuck up. So
wow, okay,
yeah. So people like that. That was I viewed it. I was taking the burden. You're viewing it as taking the credit. That was never the goal, but yeah, I could see how you would think that.
I always did both, and I just bulldozed everybody, which, in hindsight, maybe shouldn't have done. So sorry to anyone who was ever doing a group project with me. But also, like, we got A's always, so it's fine.
Doesn't sound like you at all. Okay, so top 5 uniforms. We're going to start at number 5. I have an asterisk. Now, I feel like my asterisk is actually how you ranked your uniforms, which is like you went specific color. You went like down to the, like, this is the look I like. And I'm kind of going general programming flow. But I will say, Ole Miss, who is not on my list, those baby blues that they wear are lovely. That's like my best in show. If this was like a dog show, that gets an award of some kind. The Ole Miss baby blues.
Miss Congeniality.
Yes. What is that? That's the movie, right?
That's also an award you get.
From the dog show? I didn't know.
Pageants. That's the whole point. She won Miss Congeniality.
But what does that mean? I genuinely do not know.
It means like somebody that just like everybody likes. Like it's voted on by the people that are in the pageant of just like someone you like want to be friends with,
Oh, I always just thought it was a movie. I never did. That was like an actual award.
Have you seen the movie?
I don't think so. Sandra Bullock?
You've never seen Miss Congeniality?
No, I don't think so. Like, I really don't.
Okay, we'll come back to that later, but let's do our list. So let's have you go 5 through 1, and then I will do mine after you are finished.
Do you want commentary at all on this? Like,
yes, I do. But I mean, not so producer Matt's like sitting there editing every 5 seconds,
All right, I'm going to go 5 through 1, and then I'm going to do like a machine gun synopsis for why I did what I did. So number 5 for me, controversial, is Oregon. Number 4 is LSU.
Love that.
Number 3 is UCLA.
Oh.
Number 2 is USC, and number 1 is Penn State.
Wow. Okay.
Now I realize as I'm looking at this, it's very Pac-12 heavy. What I like about my list is it has some range. Penn State has the plainest look, and you could argue Notre Dame. Notre Dame is like in contention. I like UCLA and USC when they play each other and they wear their colors is beautiful. I think all of USC's looks are beautiful. I think all of UCLA's looks are beautiful. I think Penn State is just like natural football, and LSU also is it's just vibrant. Like
Yeah.
when I see whatever colors they're and combos they're wearing, it makes me feel good. Now, Oregon is probably a controversial one. Oregon has evolved in the uniform game where they're no longer doing like the shiny helmets. They have so many cool, unique looks that
Yeah, gray is not their colors, so I don't know why we have gray uniforms.
but I think I think they take chances, and I think they've evolved, and everybody's still chasing them in the uniform.
I will say something nice about Oregon. I like the ones that had like the duck wings on the shoulder pads. That was cool.
I've read a
Other than that,
story about their Rose Bowl helmets and how they had to remember those really shiny ones, and they almost weren't allowed to wear them because they were like blinding fans in the stadium. Oregon, you could change out for maybe a Notre Dame for me, but I'm gonna stick with Oregon because I love that every week it's like a box of chocolates. You do not know what you are gonna get.
okay,
Forrest Gump, right?
fair.
I have seen that movie.
I have seen that movie. Yeah,
And some are great, some are not so great, but I do like how they have it's their own unique mission and brand, which is
Okay.
Oregon uniform style. So there's my list.
Okay. Are you ready for mine?
I am.
Number 5, I have Bama because that's my classic.
Fucking course.
You should have known. You should have known. I have
Jesus.
Bama. I love that crimson. I also like the plain helmets. I will say Penn State will get my miscongeniality because I do like the history. All right, now, number 4, I have Texas in the all whites. I love their all whites with the burnt orange numbers.
It's a good uni.
I
It's
really
good.
like that uniform.
Good uni.
Number 3, I have UNC powder blue. I love their powder blue uniforms. I really do. Those UNC ones are great.
It's a good look.
It's a good look. I think it's better than the Ole Miss ones just because it doesn't have the contrast of the red. It's got the different shades of blue. I really, and the white, I like it. It's very clean. Okay. Number 2, this is going to be my most controversial, is the Tulane green with the white pants and then their helmets with the wave on it.
Well, I love that logo. Like,
Yes.
that's a great look. I don't even know if
Yes.
I don't know if you'll get as much pushback on that as you.
I love that, but that's my number 2 overall. And then my number 1 overall is LSU. And I think also specifically the burrow with the Cajun writing or whatever it was that they had for his senior night. That was by far the best uniform I've ever seen.
And not just because it was Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow wearing it.
Yes.
Yes.
that
No.
probably-
Totally fair question, but
Just sure. When I look at LSU, I just think like I'm gonna have a great goddamn next 3.5 hours.
yeah.
Like when I look at LSU's uniforms, even if they're not good, you just think, oh, football. Like
Yeah.
I just
it's like, yeah.
yes.
Saturday night under the lights in Baton Rouge. It's just like, those are sick.
I looked at a couple of lists before we did ours.
Mm-hmm.
The opinions on this are wild on uniforms. And I'm sure people out there listening are probably pissed off at us. But the opinions on uniforms are all over the place. Like
Yeah.
they are. I thought USC would be higher for people. They weren't.
I considered it, but no. And also, like, again, not a homer. So people think I'm the Pac-12 homer on the podcast. I think it's you.
You give me USC, UCLA. That is the best uniform combo in football. Like there is no better uniform combo. There are better games. There are better games, but that combination is just delightful.
Yeah. But I don't think your list is as bad as you think, but I do think you're going to get more pushback than I am. So,
I mean, but Tulane, like no one's going to criticize Tulane. Everyone's going to be like, "Aw, that's cute. That's so
hey, I
nice."
mean, it's a great choice.
Like it is a good choice. That's what bothers me. It's like it's hard to argue with. But like people don't like the Pac-12, so naturally I'm going to get shit on.
Yeah. Welcome to my world, okay? Welcome to my world. If I even mention it, people get upset. But something I think you will be upset about is if the new college football video game does not happen because EA Sports is being sued over the offers that they've made for NIL compensation for the game. I tweeted, "This is why we can't have nice things." I feel like we've had this conversation a million times, but do you think this is maybe a not so good sign for the game? And do you have any insights?
Well, I don't have immediate insights, but I think it feels the what is it, the Brander Group or whatever, is suing them. The fact that EA isn't using them for the player licenses,
Yeah.
this feels very responsive to that, right? Like that's pretty obviously like they're pissed about that.
Yeah.
And so I'll say this: it's not good news when you hit with a lawsuit like this. It's not good news. Although the lawsuit's weird, like their players aren't being fairly compensated. The economics of this game, I think, are going to be a problem
Yeah.
because we were talking about it. Like the $500 a player accounts for millions of dollars in payouts, and
Okay.
and when you start to do the math, like there's a lot of mouths that you have to feed in this, obviously. And I just worry that as we're getting closer with the individual players, like what's this first version of the game going to look like? Like, I don't think this
Yeah.
lawsuit is shocking. It feels like this is just business, and like we're going to raise issue to this, make EA's life even harder. So that's the part to me that's most interesting. This feels like just a negotiation that went wrong, and now they're suing. But I do think that player management stuff in this era of college football, where it's like the wild, wild west, EA is going to have to try and deal with what coaches are dealing with in a certain way.
Okay.
And I don't think it's going to be easy. And certainly year to year, I don't think it's going to be easy. So I want players in this game. Everybody wants like true players to play with in this game. And it sounds like we're going to get that. We hope. There are enough breadcrumbs here to think that that might be in jeopardy, which I hope is not the case. But I could see EA just saying, fuck it. Like, we're going to go with the teams and not the players because it's too much money and it's too much of a hassle. I
Yeah.
could see that happening. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where it feels like we're inching toward, even though I hope I'm incorrect about that.
Yeah, we mentioned it last week on the podcast of would people still be interested in the game if it didn't include players likeness. I don't know that it would. I don't want to say it won't make a difference because I do think it makes a difference, but I don't know that it stops, like you said, them from coming out with the game. And I also
Nope.
think people will still want to play the game because it's the college version of that, and they can find loopholes. I know there's like a percentage of likeness. You know what I mean? You can make a quarterback have the same skill set as Caleb Williams and not have a name or whatever on it. But yeah, it's a bummer, but like we knew that this was going to be complicated because it's so different than professional sports and with NIL in the game. And even just knowing how the original like lawsuit that was against the video game and them losing that and not being able to produce the game anymore, like we
Yeah.
knew that this was going to be complicated. It's even more complicated than it was then.
The reality is, if EA doesn't have rosters, there will be dozens of people that recreate the entirety of college football. This has been happening since the game stopped. We wrote a story about it within like a week, and we'll make it available for download. And EA knows this, and they're like, it's not them creating the roster; it's user generated. So, yeah, it's kind of a bummer. It feels like this is going to be a bumpy ride. Like we're a year away from this game, by the way. Like normally it's like early first, second week of July is normally when this game comes out. So we're like a year out, and that's scary because it feels like there's a lot of shit that needs to be figured out before.
Do you feel like this is kind of a risky move on their part by suing them? Because again, so really the problem is that they have a licensing agreement with schools, and EA is going around them to try and make NIL deals with the student athletes. Do you think that's kind of a risky move in the sense of like, again, like you mentioned, these players could end up being in the game and getting zero compensation for it if it's user generated.
Yeah.
And then if they kind of like hold their ground, and don't you think that like that's their whole job is to make sure that this stuff's fair, and if it goes around, there's a roundabout way, like don't you think players and schools would be kind of pissed that happens? So I feel like it's kind of a bold move. I feel like you have to know that would be able to win, or you have to know that EA is going to make a move to try and compensate and not have to, I don't know.
Well, the quote is interesting too. This is the Brander Group. It's a statement on what is this, Front Office Sports. So they said, as we previously stated, our primary concern is advocating for student athletes, ensuring they have a voice and are justly represented in all matters pertaining to the use of NIL. We believe the student athletes are not receiving fair market value for their NIL rights, and that the contractual rights asked for may limit other NIL gaming opportunities. We have no further comments. That is like a word salad. Okay, that really is just saying like, $500 is too low. We didn't get to do it. We think we could do better. Players are getting screwed. I don't know what that amount is. I know that Caleb Williams deserves a lot more than $500.
Yeah.
But I don't know what that amount is. I think again, then if you're EA, you're gonna just look at this and be like, this is so much time, money, and energy. At some point,
Yep.
it does not become a good business decision to deal with this. You've got all the pieces you need to make a game. You have a game engine, you have teams, you could go. And I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if they're going to reach a point where they say, all right, we tried, we can't do this. And you know what, fuck it, we're going to pay Caleb Williams $100,000 to be in this game, and he'll be the only one. Like, seriously, like, what, are you going to reach a point where that happens?
Where the cover player is just the only player.
I have no idea. You could build a mode around, and again, this is what I
You
sort
can
of
do
do
like
in
the
a day
best
job.
you can do the best like top 25 players and pay
Sure.
them, and then
Yeah,
everybody else is just add-ons.
if you had a player like Caleb Williams, you could build it so you play as his high school. You could play him all the way through college in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You could build Road to Glory, which is an awesome mode where you're playing as an individual player, maybe around a star. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, but again, from the other side of it, like I'm pro players, but I also like in making games, like there'd be a certain point to this where I'm like, guys, like, this is
Someone's gotta
complicated.
give.
We're
Yeah.
gonna get sued. We're giving away too much money of our profiting that's going to happen here. Like, fuck it, we're out. And I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll see if that's the case.
No, absolutely. So we do joke around a lot about Dion on this podcast. So I think it would be not great if we did not mention that he is dealing with some health issues that could lead to him losing his foot. And I kind of just want to extend well wishes because you don't wish that on anyone. And it is kind of a scary situation. So just hoping that he gets better and is doing okay.
I just saw, like, literally 6 minutes ago, they're saying that he's going to have emergency surgery Friday for a blood clot in his groin. I'm assuming that this is or isn't related. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's tough. Like, he's God, he's like larger than life and louder, and like and hearing the amputation, it's terrible. So
Yeah.
he's such a, however the Colorado thing is, and it's fascinating. He is such a great figure in the sport to have
Yeah.
because he's different and he makes it fun and he makes it loud and he gives us stuff to talk about. This is real life shit. This is
Yeah.
really scary. So hopefully everything goes okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like by the time people are listening to this, again, I don't know if these are separate issues or not.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, there was stuff
He'll be
happening
having
there.
surgery. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully this doesn't impact, like, I mean, this sounds a little insensitive, but hopefully it doesn't impact him coaching and I know he will try not to make it. Like, if it were Dion himself, he would be like, this is not going to affect it. I'm going to continue to do this. We're doing this. It's our thing. And he's going to be like, he's been on the sideline with a scooter before. Like, this isn't going to stop him from doing anything. So I just hope that, it's a easier recovery than, they anticipate.
No, I don't think I had the same thought. I don't think it's insane. It's real. Like, they're going to have football games in like 2 months, right?
Mhm.
So like 2+ months. So camp is starting soon. Like, it's exhausting. Like, this is a really brutal, hard job. That's hard on your body. It's hard on your mind. And
Yeah.
you wonder, even though it's secondary, obviously, to his overall health, you wonder how something so serious is potentially going to impact that. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's reasonable to question. So
Yeah.
I just hope everything's all right, and certainly hope like they can figure out a way to improve something that, like, I think this has been pretty quiet, frankly, the way it was talked about up to this point. Like,
Yeah.
not so much now.
Yeah. The level of seriousness was made to be like, oh, it's not that serious.
Yes. So I'm with you. Get well, Dion. Colorado is going to be one of the coolest and most unique stories in CFB, and yeah, we got a couple of months till we get there, so hopefully he gets right. His commercial mates in many
Yes.
Aflac commercials, Mr. Nick
Allstate.
Saban. I'm very intrigued by your perception of this. So Nick Saban, essentially, and this is Nick Saban becoming a gambling man, basically talking about the college football playoff and whether we're looking for the best 3 teams or the most deserving. And the quote that stands out to me was Saban saying, when they told me we'd be favored against 3 of the 4 teams that got in the playoff, I'm like, well, why aren't we in the playoff? You're saying that. And so, and there's more to it, but that's the gist of it. what do you think? Are you surprised by this? Do you agree with him? Where are you at resident Alabama beat
I'm not.
reporter? I don't know what your
I guess I'm
Alabama
like a
title is.
little surprised that he commented on it because usually he's like, we'll leave it in the past and we move forward.
I
But there's
agree.
definitely a reason that he did this. This isn't just him throwing out random things and being upset about something. I saw somebody wrote something about him complaining and that winners don't complain, they just move on and whatever. But he's making a point for a certain reason. And I think that is putting the fire to the committee being like, okay, is it the best teams or is it the most deserving? And like we have this conversation every single week when these rankings come out because
Yes.
again, if you go, okay, let's put these head to head, like do we think it's the most deserving? Do we think it's the best teams? I think when the playoff expands, the most deserving teams will get in, but the best teams will get the better rankings. And I think maybe that's his play here is like, hey, we need to establish if this is the most deserving or if this is the best teams. Because again, you could have argued that, and I also think this is the nature of his conference expanding and going, okay, we're looking at name brands that could have big seasons and we could take one loss and be left out. We're looking at a juggernaut in Georgia. So like, I think this is a play on, okay, what is this going to look like going forward? But I agree with him. Like we've talked about this. Like if you go with the best teams, playoffs would have looked a lot different the last couple of years. If you go with the most deserving, then Alabama would have been in.
All right. So he's citing Vegas as a reference
Favorites,
point,
yeah.
which is very interesting, and I think is part of this conversation because when we look at who would be favored, right? Best deserving has no place. It's just on a neutral field or wherever, who's going to win the game? Who do we think is going to win the game?
Mm-hmm.
That is not how you should make your playoff. Period. Like
Yeah.
the results have to mean most of it. Like it has to matter, right? It's an interesting discussion with Alabama, by the way. You look at Alabama and Tennessee. Alabama lost on the last second to Tennessee, maybe the greatest game of the season. They lost to LSU. At the end of the year, we were ranking Alabama above Tennessee. A lot of people. I can't remember where I. You had Tennessee fans that were pretty pissed off about that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, hey, we beat them, and our resumes were comparable. Otherwise, they kicked the shit out of LSU. Like it was a good discussion. So this is a tough one because the playoff committee, you have a group of humans. It is the most deserving, but there's an element of most deserving that tells you like TCU, which won a playoff game, wasn't one of the 4 best teams in college football last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right? Like we could agree.
Yeah, take a record away. Yeah.
Like you look at, and it's very easy for me to say that after they lost by a fucking 1,000 points to Georgia, but like they clearly were one of the 4 best teams, but they beat a team that we probably said was in Michigan.
Yeah.
So what do I know? Like what? Like this is the complicated part of this.
Well, but it's not surprising that like Nick Saban's on this side of it because again, like his team will always be the most talented. Aside from Georgia, like their roster is going to be the most talented, and they're going to have the best players, and will continue to do that. So I get why he's saying it in terms of like why that's his stance. I don't understand the play exactly yet. I'm trying to figure it out, but there is a reason why he put this out there. There is a reason. There's a play. He doesn't just, like I said, he doesn't just say things to say things. There's a reason why he put that out there, and I don't think it's him just like complaining. Like that's.
I think you're exactly right. He doesn't, because classic Saban is that was last year. We're focused on this year.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a break from him, like lamenting about, like still sounding a little not bitter. But still, this is eating at him, clearly.
Well, and I also think it's his way of outing people, being like, behind the scenes, being like, you guys should have got in, you guys should have got in, you guys should have got in. And being like, okay, if you're going to say that behind the scenes to me, then you better own up to it and pony up and put us in the playoff.
So the part of it that I agree with you, everything he says still is tactical. When he gets into it with A&M and Jimbo and NIL, it's tactical. When we talk about rule changes or transfer portal, it's tactical. I think, to me, he's looking at a conference that's adding 2 significant pieces.
Yeah.
I think Texas Texas jokes aside, Texas is a recruiting machine, a resource machine, has played Alabama tough, and is not making life easier on Nick Saban. The addition of Texas and Oklahoma is not going to make life easier on Alabama. It's going to make it harder. I think he's looking at Georgia, and I think he's thinking, fuck, we have to deal with that. In fact, we have to play them in 2024. Like, the conference is beefing up and catching up. Like, no hot take here. And I think what he's saying is, like, in totality, we're not going to be able to do most likely what we did, which was roll through teams. And if that's not the case, at least look at us as a whole. That's how I would read it. And that's a fair way to do it. But he's citing recent historical elements to this, which is so not Saban. So not a Saban thing to do.
He's smart. This will work out in his favor.
Why did you? We were like, he is. Of course he's smart. But you're just, when you say it, like, you should have the, like,
an Alabama flag?
A yellow hammer.
Should I say it with an accent?
Have you ever had a yellow hammer, by the way?
No. And I imagine that one would put me on the floor.
Buddy, I know how to. This is a good party maker and ruiner. Is those damn delicious yellow hammers? Plus, we got to go to Tuscaloosa and do the right one. I was just gonna say maybe a road trip this year.
Oh
yeah. We got to get the actual source of the good yellow hammers, not my bootleg ones. Bill Hancock. Okay, full disclosure.
Speaking of playoff,
full disclosure. As we're putting together the doc, and I'm like, oh yeah, we should talk about Bill Hancock resigning as the executive director of the playoff. I'm not going to say exactly what was said, but let's just say Paige was not all that enthused to talk about Bill Hancock.
If I can do the, like, little thing that you, like, you know how, like, people are like, whoop. I can't do it because I have fake nails. But where you just, like, pop.
It wasn't quite who gives a shit, but it was like, no, it was pretty much there. It wasn't that exact
I just don't.
So here's the only thing that's moderately interesting. And it's fucking the end of June. We're looking for content. Bill Hancock is one of the greatest success stories. This dude fought a playoff, fought it hard and aggressively and outwardly for his whole life. And then we just had one and they're like, you run it. And he's like, okie doke, like I'll do that.
Yeah.
And so the timing of him to go out of this thing is right.
When it expands.
Because it's basically, when it expands, he's going to retire.
Yeah.
And so now I will say this about Bill Hancock, one of the nicest human beings in college football, a really, really nice man that somehow avoided this monster that we've now made and became a part of it. It was like, but if you go back and look at the quotes, it was like, never on my watch is this fucking playoff. And now it's like, and now 80 teams, buddy.
Everybody gets in.
Yeah. So, nice man and great, just a great last 8-10 years here. I don't know what his salary is. It's probably a lot. It's probably nice. It's probably nice.
Him, retirement at the golf course. The entire time, every time you said his name, I wanted to interrupt you and go, do you mean Herbie Hancock? I
just spilled beer on myself. So Bill, good for you, buddy.
Herbie
it's like I'm trying to think of like a like me, like I don't want it. Like I'm trying to think of something like an analogy, something I spend my like life fighting. It's like I'm trying to think of like Iowa State. I really, I went to Iowa fan. Okay, I don't like Iowa State, and then like
Dead
Iowa
lawns.
State's like, you know what, buddy? Dead lawns, and all of a sudden I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to be the chairman of the Dead Lawn Fair Club. Like we're gonna promote you to shitty lawn management. I'm like, you know what? For fucking $500,000 a year, I'm your guy. And
that's the epitome of college football right there. Like for the right price, anything can happen.
Well, and now like again, it's like all right, I gotta know what Bill Hancock's salary is. What do you think Bill Hancock a year?
Oh. A year?
That can't be.
Is it low?
Oh wait. That's some executive. That's some company. Like it was like $3.2 million.
Herbie Hancock.
William S. William Actually, I'm not even sure if this is going to be.
And you're John
Hold on.
Hancock.
CFB.
You've seen Tommy Boy, right? We've discussed
Yes.
this.
Just
Okay.
because I haven't seen Miss Congeniality doesn't mean I'm a dipshit.
I mean,
Okay. Here we go. Oh my God. All right. So this is from 2020. Oh, is this it?
okay,
I
just
saw
tell us what
one-
it is.
I'm working on it.
Just give us what 2020 said.
No. It said Ed Orgeron. But bowl game
Do you
commissioners
know
are
how to
making
use
like
Google? Like, what is happening
yes,
here?
I am. I'm trying. It doesn't say. I can't find it.
I got you.
Sorry. I'll bet you it's $1 million. I'll bet you Bill's doing all right. So it was like a Google story. Ed Orgeron's salary was in there. Wasn't right. Failed you. All right. So what else are we talking? Oh, Florida. Florida is back. If you have been following, it's kind of weird, this one. And actually, I want to talk about Florida as a whole. We talked about the SEC a little bit and like what the hierarchy of teams is. Florida, in like the last 10 days, all of a sudden has just been recruiting like crazy. And they've landed a ton of 4-stars. They're now the number 3 ranked team, recruiting team for the 2024 class. What's interesting about that is if you look at Florida recruiting as a whole, not been very good relative to like the Urban Meyer. And I don't think they're going to be very good this year. Do you? Like,
no. I mean, we talked about already if Billy Napier was even going to stay their coach after this season.
but this is how you do it. Like this is how it is.
I guess my question would be, do you think that he gets this year to kind of dick around, for a lack of a better term?
This is year 2 for him, or is it year 3? I can't even remember. I think it's just year 2. Hold on.
Let's look.
This is sad. He's only 43. This is year 2. So
Okay.
he went 6-7, which Florida should never be, ever, by the way.
Well, especially with a quarterback that everyone thought was the next coming
Yeah.
of Jesus, I guess, during the draft.
And yes, that's a good point too. And so they're recruiting great. They're recruiting the state great. I think the recruiting is a huge asset for him to keep his job in year 3. And I don't know, firing somebody after 2 years, I mean, if it really goes south, then maybe. But that's pretty.
I mean, leave it to a
That's
Florida
pretty.
school. I honestly cannot. I've said this numerous times. Like, I think people should get a couple years to really get a program up and running. I don't care what program it is.
It's tough. It's tough too. Program. It's tough too because if you start winning, like you get these young kids in, you're not going to win immediately. Like turning this thing around takes. Look at Florida State, right? Look at Florida State.
That was my,
and how long it's taken for them to be reputable, and now they're legitimate.
because they'd let a coach come in for a year, fire him. Let a coach come in for a year, fire him. They just.
I'm trying to find
the ungodly payouts.
Florida to win the national championship is, oh my God, motherfucker. They even here? Athlete? They are 200-1.
You've done significant Googling today.
Not well, just Google.
Yeah.
Not a good job.
The Google machine?
I'm doing it like in real time, which is great. They are a 9.5-point underdog. Also not. Their regular season win total.
Is that at?
It's at Utah.
Okay.
The regular season win total is 5.5. Not great.
What's their schedule? Use the Google machine.
I'm using my computer over here too, which doesn't mean anything to anybody if they're listening to this. But it looks like I'm like a stock trader, which I am most certainly not.
The idea of you being a stock trader actually is one of the funniest things I can possibly imagine.
Yeah, no,
in a suit.
Yeah, just sit here.
Did you wear a full? No,
I never wear a full suit.
No, not this natty. I think you did it the first New Orleans ones. You wore a jacket.
Yeah, and then it's like I just want to be comfortable. Like, it's a fucking long ass day. But maybe next year I'll wear one. Now that you're suit shaving. Okay,
Well, I wore a suit.
Florida. You did, but like, I don't know. It's just like, all right, Utah. You're suit shaving me again.
Yeah.
Utah at
At
Utah.
Utah.
That's a loss, right?
Yep.
McNeese State. That's a win. Tennessee. That's probably an L.
That's an L.
Okay, so you're 1-2. You're versus Charlotte. You're 2-2 after Charlotte. At Kentucky, it feels like a really important game for Billy Napier. So
That game is always so weird. And you said it's at Kentucky?
yeah,
I
think it's a loss.
think it's a loss too. Okay. We have 2 wins.
2-3. Vanderbilt, that's a win.
Win.
Oh.
3 wins.
Did they lose to Vanderbilt last year? But yes, 3-3. At South Carolina, I think that's a loss. Georgia, that's a loss. Arkansas at home, I'll give them a win.
Oh, I think that's a loss.
All right, that's 3 wins then. At LSU is a loss.
Yeah.
At Missouri could be a loss. And then
I'll
versus
give
Florida
it back
State.
to them. Yeah, they're right at the cusp.
6 wins would be a good season for
Yes.
Florida. 6 wins. I do not. You got McNeese and Charlotte and Vandy. And then you're going to have to piecemeal the rest of this. Tennessee, Kentucky, South Carolina, at Missouri. Missouri is not bad. Like, this is not good. So if they win 4 games, it could be a problem. And they could have that kind of year. I think under 5.5, by the way, is probably the play.
Yeah. I'm going to take the under.
Because Florida State, LSU, and Georgia are all top 10, and Tennessee are probably all top 10-ish teams. Tennessee, maybe not top 10.
Playing in the SEC is just...
In Utah, I mean, you're going to play like 5 top 15 teams here. It's not great. So,
yeah,
sorry.
so you had to get
Florida.
some recruiting wins to be able to keep that.
Yeah.
Hey, but look at what we got coming in.
So there you have it.
It's the opposite of the Dan Mullen where he said he didn't care about recruiting.
By the way, I have started studying my CFP
magazines?
studying. Yep, they've picked up. I saw Phil Steele magazine came out. He sends one to like all the beat writers that he's friends with. I never get one. Not at all bitter about it. I will. Have you done the Phil Steele thing? Have you read it? It's a little bit much, if I'm being
No.
honest. It's a lot. The print is tiny. I mean, that thing, and a lot of it is like redone content. The other thing for these preview mags that I'm noticing, it's really hard in this day and age in college football to get this stuff published, to stay up and current with all of the movement. Like it's a lot more difficult to do.
Yeah. I was going to ask you though, what are you joking with your marker?
I just took the cap off. I was going to write some notes.
What I was going to ask
Jesus.
you is if you were to be, because we cover college football on like a macro level. If you were to be a beat writer for any team, which team would you choose to be a beat writer for?
Oh, that's a great question. Do you have your answer? I'm not asking for your answer yet.
Yes, I do.
Is it Alabama?
No.
Okay. So I want to answer your question with a couple of questions. Am I going for access or interest? Because we know how some teams are. Like Lincoln Riley it's like a vault. You can't access shit.
I would say a little of both.
LSU would be up there. I'm just gonna rattle off some ones. LSU would be very interesting to me.
Okay.
I don't think Georgia would be all that interesting. Although you're winning a ton.
It wouldn't be interesting.
I mean, Saban, Alabama would at least be interesting.
Entertaining.
And the access is pretty good. At least for us.
So it's funny that you said that about Lincoln Riley, because mine would be USC. Because you're moving to a conference that you're not going to get made fun of anymore, so you're not in the Pac-12. That's embarrassing. And you would get to live in LA, okay? And I think also I was banking on the fact that, like, I would feel like I would just be very good at being a beat reporter and would get the access and would weasel my way into access. So, yeah, I would go with USC, I think.
The problem I have is he's just historically he's not a bad guy by any means. Lincoln
No.
Riley seems like a good guy, but he's not historically great with letting people talk to his players, at
Yeah.
all. You don't care though. You're there for
Mm-mm.
the LA and the Sun and
The Sun and the football,
yeah.
good quality
I
football, but not too high of expectations. You know what I
I
mean?
think I actually am. I think Alabama would be a decent team to cover, by the way,
Oh, so
because
now you think it's fine? So you're like, Paige, don't
well,
pick Alabama.
you're. I'm kind of an Alabama homer too, deep down.
Yeah.
But you are a resident Alabama homer, so I
I
have
mean,
to.
I would could live with Kristen, and that would be great.
Well,
We could
Saban is
be
Saban
besties.
is never not boring. Like Saban
It's true.
will say
But he's
some
also going to
wild shit.
retire, so eventually, you know what I
But
mean?
even that, oh my God, coverage is going to be wild. It
Yeah,
may
but
not be good. It'll
but also like the fans at that point, and like, I don't know. We should ask Casagrande how much he loves it.
What's the last team you'd want to cover? Like good team. Like don't say like
Clemson.
because wow, that was very fast. I was going to say Ohio State.
No, because I don't mind Ryan Day,
Oh, okay. So
and I don't
even
mind
have
the
to
fan.
ask-
I don't mind the fan base either because I understand why their
Oh.
expectations are what they are.
But it's
Clemson,
not
I
even
just
that. They're
don't think
assholes, pricks.
yes, they are pretty bad. But I thought you were gonna say Michigan because you technically are a Michigan beat writer on this podcast.
Oh, I think they'd be interesting too. Although
No,
I don't
thanks.
know.
No.
I'm not. No, they're just kind of in a no. Also covering a team, you know, it'd be like a fun team to cover is like TCU. Sonny
Yeah.
Dykes is a very easy guy to talk to. Your access is good. You
Well,
may or may not get a great football team, but it'll be fun.
what
And
would
it's-
what would be the most important part of this like decision for you? Would it be like who the head coach is and if you could get access, or would it be like the history of the program and having like a nice place to live with
It's-
like a cool college football environment?
I'd say geography is probably number one, especially
Mhm.
a family. The athletic department itself, like the SID.
Yes, that's actually a great point.
I know a good friend of mine just got promoted like in Iowa, and I was talking to
Nice.
him, just texted him last night. I was like, "Oh, awesome!" Like he and I have worked on stories before,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm like, "All right, what are we gonna do? Where are we? Like, how can I like?" And it's been
Yeah.
but that's the relationship between beat writer and
Mhm.
athletic department is like you have to have that be good so you can do your job
Mm-hmm.
and also not get like walloped for it. But most importantly, yeah, you got to be happy with where you are. Like
Yeah.
so, and that's tricky. But like Baton Rouge would be fun as shit. It just would be a million degrees.
I will say I think SID is more important than coach.
Yes,
Because as someone who's worked in the sports information office, like sometimes it doesn't even reach the coach. Like sometimes it's, SID saying no.
and you're just gonna have to assume that the coach is only going to be there for 3 to 5 years. Like
Yeah.
any coach, right?
Mhm.
Like no matter what. So
No, absolutely.
I'm trying to think of the one I would least. Ohio State would be up there.
Clemson would be
Um,
mine. I couldn't do it.
It's just purely Dabo. Like
Not even that, but just like the
sounds pretty Dabo.
yeah, no, it is. No, it's mostly
let's-
that. Just because I don't know that like our energies would match. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I feel like you gotta have a good.
It's his.
I wonder what his astrology sign is, so I
By
can
the
know
way,
if we're.
Clemson historically, great program to work with.
Yeah,
the-
oh, of course. But I personally, as like a beat writer, I
Yeah.
don't know that I would like. I would want to get to like the realness. You know me, like I like to go deep. Like I would want to get into the realness of things, and I feel like Dabo is so surface level with anything, and it's always like.
There goes
just-
our fucking Clemson access. Just fucking out the
Hey,
window.
I mean, it's you that's going to be requesting it. It does not matter.
Come
But
on,
Lincoln
clip-
Riley, I hope he hears this. We should clip this and send it to him and be like, "Look, I would be more than willing to work this out. Okay, we have a sit down
only-
every week. We can talk about things, go
So
through our
only-
emotions, outside in his backyard, over a glass of wine from the wine cellar. It all goes back to the wine cellar, really.
Yeah, if you get access to it, but I don't know. I mean, Clemson.
Are you saying
though,
that I couldn't get access to the wine cellar? We could figure it out. I like USC. I think we could cover it.
I like Lincoln Riley too. I would love to engage. I think if we were to talk to Clemson, we'd be much more. We're probably getting in Dabo's wine cellar before we're getting in Lincoln's.
No.
If Dabo, oh yeah, oh it ain't even close.
Maybe you, but not me.
Yeah.
Maybe
So,
it's just a California thing.
no, I'm not saying by choice. I'm saying whose wine cellar are we getting in first? It's Dabo.
We should
Like,
have a competition to see whose wine cellar you're gonna do first.
well, we
This is
should
really
have
turning
fucking
into
not talked about how you don't mesh well with Clemson before doing that.
No, I don't. It's not that I don't mesh well. I just don't think we have the same vibe. Like, I don't think that like he would find my jokes funny. You know, I don't think that he would find me. I don't know. I think he
I don't
would.
know. I need to get back to
I mean,
Clemson.
Ohio State is more important. Access is more important than Clemson access. No offense to Clemson, but and you sat here and went
Yeah,
no.
Ohio
So
State doesn't
really,
win.
we're just digging ourselves a grave.
Ohio State doesn't win dick anyways either. At least Clemson is one. They don't.
Wow, someone's fired up today.
It's fun though.
The
Just
beer
like
kicked in. The beer kicked in.
yeah. Well, I said I was worried about offending people with my uniforms, and now I've offended everyone.
Everybody. We just lit a match and just whoop. We offended everyone.
I need to get back to Clemson. I have had the last time I was in Clemson was, I think I've told the story, when I got pulled over driving.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. And I got the police escort because I was interviewing Dava. Like, what a great college football, the best.
College football is the greatest.
I don't know though. I'm trying to think who else would I not want to cover, and that is tough. Like covering, I give beat reporters. Now we're diving too deep into this, but like, I follow a lot of people on Twitter who cover really shitty football teams, basketball teams, baseball teams, and it's tough. Like,
it's a hard job.
It's a hard job, especially if you cover a Vandy, right, for football. Like you, and last year you have a great season by Vanderbilt standings, but like it's a tough job to cover a team that you know has no chance at all.
You have to love it. That's like a different, like before this podcast started, I was telling you that I did a little get ready with me and talked about like working in sports and then like us doing this podcast. And we are so lucky that we get to cover college football on a larger scale where we cover the good teams mostly and get to really focus on that. Of course, we cover other teams as well, but like our main focus is like the national stories in college football. And it still is exhausting. So I can't imagine what it's like for teams that are not anywhere near a playoff conversation. Those people are like the backbone of college football. And I commend anyone that does that job because it's so hard. Like, of course you love it. Like you do. There's a part of you that just really is like a nerd for it. And like, I know what that's like because I was that way. Like if, you know, years from now, I was like, oh, you know what? I'll be the Arizona, whatever, SID for whatever sport. I love that school enough and love that the history there that I would dive in and not care about the like negative parts of that. But it definitely takes a unique person and individual to be able to do those jobs. So props to them.
Like imagine covering Iowa last year. I know a bunch of people who do and did. They won a bowl game. I mean, so it could be worse, but like imagine that.
Yeah.
Imagine covering Rutgers.
Yeah.
Off.
Yeah. Imagine being the person that tweets out the scores that Kramer makes fun of.
I mean, deep down, like I am a sicko. I am on the level.
Exactly. We are. Don't worry. We are those people. I told you. We are those people for the right team.
When you got to show up and do like a Tuesday press conference with Greg Schiano before they play Illinois, and you're like, Jesus Christ, like, what the fuck are you talking about, fellas? Like, that's not easy. And
yeah, you
got to be careful too. You see with Alabama all the time with beat reporters and him, like just going at it, right? Like they have a job to do, and they do a largely good job.
Yes,
because you have to challenge him.
Yeah,
respectfully, and I think when you challenge him respectfully, he'll occasionally bite your head off. But
hey, it's worth it.
That's the job. That's the job. So
you go viral.
Yeah.
Any random shit from you today before we wrap up?
I've got some Father's Day observations.
Okay.
I played golf. Hurt my shoulder. Getting old playing golf. Like it's not good. Like I'm supposed to play golf this weekend, and like I'm doing like dad stretches and stuff with a tennis ball.
Okay.
It's getting rough out here. So it's not great. Had a good Father's Day. Played golf. played with my father-in-law. You know, the PXG clubs, like
Yeah.
that were like $5,000. So he had been talking a lot about how these clubs have like changed his golf game, and it's like, whatever, sure. No shit. I mean, he's 73 years old, and I almost lost to him. He was draining 40 footers. I was playing
Okay.
a little injured, so this is not an
Right.
ad, but it was like seeing a different person play. He's like Benjamin Buttoning his golf game. His golf game is getting better as he's getting.
Older.
It barely swings. I don't get it. It's kind of infuriating now that I'm talking through it. But we had fun. Just shoulder. It's rough out
Not
there.
doing well. Do
No,
you
it's
get
not
like handmade cards for Father's Day? Is that the move?
Oh yeah, I got a lot. I wonder if I have any here.
Your
Shit.
kids definitely strike me as the type to make like, and also your wife obviously works with
I
kids, so
I get handmade cards, and in the most dad shit possible. Let's see. My kids got me Prime. They love Prime, right? The drink Prime. So they think I love
yes.
Prime. I do like Prime. Prime is good. I got Prime. I got pistachios. I got pancake mix to make them pancakes. I
To do your
got
dad duties.
and then and this was actually an awesome gift, a like world-class leaf blower, new leaf blower for the lawn.
Oh wow.
And this fucking thing, like, so my leaf blower has been very sad. This one, you like point it at the ground and it's like jostling you. It is, you know, those suits, the feet that they wear off the water, they're like gliding
Yes.
above the water. It feels like that.
That is gonna do that. That you're about to fly.
but
That's hilarious.
I think maximum Father's Day, like, it doesn't get more Father's Day than getting a new leaf blower and being genuinely excited about
Excited
it. So
about it. That's
was
very
my-
dad.
the very dad. So
Very on brand.
How about you? How about your random?
Mostly that I'm just experiencing my first transfer window as a Premier League fan. And like I wasn't prepared for like how just like the rumor mill works. Like I usually like when we hear about trades in like the NFL or the NBA, even though one did actually fall through in the NBA, but you usually hear about it and it's a rumor, and that's like the talks are pretty far along and it's pretty close to happening. Like we've been hearing about this player Declan Rice who is supposed to join Arsenal, but we're paying for him for from another team, and like we've heard about it before the window opened, then we've submitted first bid, rejected, submit a second bid, rejected, and basically it's just their way of like playing the game where like they know he wants to come play for Arsenal, so they're going to try and lowball as much as possible because they don't want to pay the premium for him. Because business wise, it's like a smart decision, but now the like Georgia of the Premier League is coming in and being like, hey, we'll bid for him, and I'm like, what are we doing? Get it done. Pay all of the money. I want him on my team so bad, and it's like upsetting me because I don't like how long this is taking, and I don't want this Georgia to get better. Like the rich get richer. It is so frustrating. Also, there's a girl on TikTok. Her name is Melina. Shout out Melina. She's the great. She did a like comparison of Premier League teams and college football teams, and she did say that Man City is Georgia, and my team that I root for, Arsenal, would be Texas because they've had like one good season that they talk about for years and years and years. So yeah, it's like very, very frustrating. So
This is how I
let's
need
just
my
say-
football. My football broken down is as college football.
Yes.
I appreciate the translation.
Yeah, we can, if you follow, well, you're not on TikTok, but I will.
I kind of am. I think I created an account, and I think
Okay.
I follow you because I get a notification when you post.
Oh, you do?
I think
Which
so.
is a lot. That's probably
Oh,
why
it
you
is?
noticed it, because I post all the time.
I
Let's
know it
see.
is, but I don't remember doing that. Like, I have an app. Let's see if it's on. What if I have any?
These are by him.
Oh, you.
You can see the TikTok that I was recording and editing while you were looking up your teams.
Yeah, it's just. I don't know. I'm on TikTok, but not well.
Okay, but you
Is
should
it-
follow her because it was probably one of the funniest things that I saw. It was very accurate. But yeah,
I-
so that's
I
my
did.
random shit is that if Man City ends up getting this guy, I am going to be distraught over it. I have been waiting for this to be confirmed. Like, I love this team so much for only being a fan for less than a year. Like, I am obsessed. It consumes my like before bed and after bed, or before bed and in the morning, after bed. Together. Before I go to bed, I check on the rumors because it's most likely almost morning time in the UK. And then when I wake up, I immediately check my phone to see if anything has happened in the morning hours there. Like, it is so bad. Oh, it's killing me. It would be fine if I had other distractions, but there's not a lot of sports going on right now. So I'm just like I'm not doing well.
After bed should be the name of this episode.
After bed.
Although it sounds like,
it sounds not appropriate.
I don't know. Maybe that's good for the name of the episode. Maybe that will
after bed. Pages after bed.
Pages. Oh, there you go. Like, that's here. They're gonna listen and be like, that is not at all what I was expecting this podcast to be whatsoever.
Well, we should definitely wrap it up because that's clearly I can't say words.
Week 0 is now 2 months away.
We got it.
We are 2 months away from week 0. So
can't
wait.
We
gotta get our shit. So, and
we will. We will get our shit together, guys. We promise.
All right. For Paige, I am Adam. We will see you guys next week.